Hello, everyone, and welcome to What's the Tea with Gen X, Y, and Z. We are three generations, three perspectives, one cup of truth. So get ready for a refreshing take on hot button topics. We're going to be brewing up a steaming hot take on today's most pressing issues, where we'll dish on everything from social justice to pop culture. With humor, honesty, and maybe even a little healthy debate, we're going to sip the tea, spill the honest truth, and find common ground across the generational gap. This show is informative, it's insightful, and it's guaranteed to stir the pot. So, hello, I am Dr. Melissa, and I am representing the X Factor.
And what's up, y'all? Amber holding it down for us millennials.
And I'm Zion, keeping it real for Generation Z.
All right, you guys. So I'm really excited about this particular episode because, we have that at the end of the show, you'll see the questions at what's the tea.xyz. And we do get in, every week we get in wonderful comments and commentary from our viewers. Today we decided to take on one of the topics suggested by one of our viewers. And that viewer was Maggie.
Hey, Maggie.
Hey, Maggie. Maggie, of course, fabulous viewer, happens to be a part of the X generation. Ooh. Yeah, right. So Maggie had sent a message, and she wanted to know the Y and Z perspective on professional dressing. Because one of the things that she wrote was that as a part of the X generation, we have a set code for how you dress in professional environments, job interviews, going to court. And Maggie, I laughed when I read her message. She feels like Y and Z don't necessarily adhere to those standards.
Specifically Z.
Amen.
So today, y'all, we're going to talk about some professional standards and the generational perspectives about it, and dressing being one of those things. So just based on that intro that I gave, what are your overall feelings about that whole topic?
When I did start, going for interviews and, going into corporate America, there was this level of expectations that you had to dress a certain way. So me fresh out of high school, and I'm like, I gotta start working. And I look in my closet, and I'm like, these outside clothes. Right. So there was always definitely that expectation that you gotta wear, blouses, button ups, blazers, and slacks, things of that sort. You couldn't just wear your outside clothes to an interview or just in a professional setting. And my mama said, make sure you.
I was about to say, where did you get that? Who gave you that? Yeah, yes. Okay, who gave you that standard?
Mama Bear gave me that standard that I had to go in there and act like I wanted the job. And that means talk like I wanted the job and look like I wanted the job. So I could get the job, right? So
yeah. Oh, what a concept. What a concept. What about you, Z?
So I definitely agree with Amber. I feel like the traditional norm is typically business attire, suits, blazers, that sort of thing. So I'm more of into, I do retain that standard to a certain sense, especially I've had encouragement to uphold that norm. But I do believe it's important to have just a sense of comfort in the workplace, because that is the second most time you spend somewhere besides your bed, hopefully getting at least 8 hours of sleep. So I do believe there has to be a sense of comfort at work as well. So I'm typically more, I'm going to wear now like a collared shirt, khakis, and that's me retaining that sense of professionalism in a way.
So here's where I'm going to tip into the deep waters here, because one of the things with the message from Maggie is she said for Xers, we saw professional standards as respect, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm going to go ahead on a limb and say this, that we represent these generations, but we're not monolithic. So these generations are different. People, individuals are different.
Right. Yeah.
And I will say for the two of you, you are representatives, good representatives of your generation, but you're kind of middle of the road of your generation as well,
Right.
as far as my interactions with you guys.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
For sure.
But now let's keep it real. There are a lot of Yers and Zers that wear their outside clothes.
They do. They do.
It's bad enough to wear it into the workplace, but I have the privilege of interviewing a lot. And I'm going to tell you that way too many occasions that I'm sitting at the table and waiting for the interviewer to come in, the person who's seeking the job.
Right, exactly.
And I have to maintain my face when they walk in because I'm thinking, I don't think she realized that she got out of bed. I know, like you said, that sometimes we spend 8 hours in bed. Sometimes people actually come to the interview
as if they were,
and it's
still asleep.
They are pajamas. Yeah. You can call them what you want to. There have been a couple times that I've sat in on an interview and I am sure that person got up, hopefully took care of some basic hygiene things, but did not change their clothes from the night before.
Right. Can I start my response? I'm sorry.
Please.
Okay, so I'm glad you talked about that. I consider myself more of a median. Like I'm not big into professionalism. Like you're not going to see me with. I don't like suits. They're very uncomfortable. So I got to be authentic as well and be comfortable, especially if I'm gonna be somewhere for 8 hours, while still retaining a sense of professionalism. Right. So I consider myself more a median. So I want to start my segment off with just to personify with an example. I have a friend, I'm not going to disclose that individual's name, who showed up to an interview with a cap hat, a white tee, and some black ripped jeans.
Okay, white
for a job interview.
The wife beater white tee or the one with the sleeves?
White tee with the short sleeves.
Ooh.
Yeah. Ooh. And I think some J's. Which I feel like shoes aren't too important, but as long as you have
because you can dress
the
up
top and bottom, like you can put that together. So I had a friend that done that. So I feel like depending,
that was brutal.
I guess I don't know. I don't really know how to explain it, but depending on the Zier, some Ziers really do appreciate still upholds that sense of professionalism where it's but I don't have to be excessive with it.
Right.
Whereas to the point is
did he get the job?
It's not authentic.
Listen, everybody wants to know, did he actually get the job?
That was going to be my question.
Okay, I was going to refrain from that part, but if I have to be honest, because I'm all about authenticity, no, he did not get the job.
Hey, okay.
But that person's name won't be disclosed.
Amen.
But you want to know, I feel like it also comes down to the education behind it, right? Mm-hmm. So I know when I was in school, we had to take some classes that would, help you with resume writing and let you know about what you need to look like, the things you need to say when you're going to these job interviews, where we even had mock interviews when we were in school. So I feel like it's getting to that degree where a lot of people aren't too educated behind how they are supposed to go to these interviews to get jobs. And then there's also a part where I'm just after COVID, people ain't come back to work. They didn't want to work.
Did not.
So it's some people just go just to say they did it, because I don't even think they really do want to get the job. They just want to check it off and say, yeah, I did it. So, I feel like it's different. It's the education behind it, and do they actually really want to do it? They just checking a box off saying they did it.
Right. Well, my response to that, I agree to an extent. I think there is education behind it. However, I also do feel like depending on the time period, it's reflective of whatever those norms are at the time. For example, you got the 70s, it was very heavy, business attire.
Okay.
Then when we kind of migrated to the 90s, it got more into just the skinny, slim foot collared shirt, and then it kept evolving, so on and so on. So yes, it's definitely a science behind it, but then it also evolves as well. That's why now you see a lot more bright colors instead of more bleak, dark colors, because that wasn't a thing before. Before it was more neutral colors, white and black. Having bright colors were excessive. So.
Okay, let me jump in on that, because
it does.
That's how it was in the 70s.
The big thing about this episode, you guys are going to notice is that I am really to ensure that Maggie gets what she asked for. Yes. I'm really going to allow us to hear the Y and Z perspective. We know what the right perspective is, right? So we're just trying to figure out how they're filtering it. But here's what I will say. To your point, there's been an evolution. Yeah. Where now, and let's also talk about the fact that the type of job. If you're going interviewing for a fast food job, you do not need to have on a blazer and pants necessarily. Right? So it's the environment that you're going to be in as well. Now, unfortunately, for my business, it's a professional environment that requires people with high licensures and stuff like that. Yeah. So I'm always taken aback when individuals that are coming to interview for licensed positions, positions that requires master's degrees and beyond, and you come in as if you're interviewing for, a fast food place. It's a little off-putting. But I will say this, to your point, Zion, I will say I'm one of those people that I'm not a conformist when it comes to fashion, in the respect that I like to express myself. Right. So I'm not one of those people that follow a whole lot of the rules. Oh, you can't wear this after Labor Day, and no. But I think the thing that we need to talk about is decorum and appropriateness. Right. So is it possible to not be buttoned down and to express my personality with my accessories? So no, maybe I don't want to come to the interview with thigh-high boots. Right. That really did happen in real life. That happened to me in real life. Because that's part of my personality. Maybe I want to express my edginess and my quirkiness in another way. A pop of color with a scarf or earrings, something like that.
Right. And to respond to that real quick, I'm love that you talked about just self-expression, and typically through our attire, we typically want to express ourselves. So I think that's very important. A lot of that I think is dependent on the employer, not in the sense of an interview, but just after you get the job in an actual professional environment. Because studies suggest that there can be a sense of intimidation for clients or just whoever may walk into that area. So, they don't want to seem too professional. So people kind of been falling like that.
Okay.
Definitely. Agreed.
So we've come to the break. I promise y'all this was not planned. I love it when they just give me like the perfect segue for coming back. That was perfect. We're going to go ahead and take this 30-second break. When we come back, that's exactly what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the dressing in the professional environment and just how it does impact clients, our businesses, and all of that. And I get to talk about that from my perspective. Amen. See you in 30 seconds.
Catch the wave of success with Standing on Business with Dr. Melissa. Unlock your purpose, align it with your entrepreneurial spirit, and witness your business thrive. This isn't just about authenticity, it's about building a foundation so solid, your business becomes synonymous with profitability. Tune in as we delve into marketing strategies that work and create an empire that stands on business. Because when purpose meets strategy, success is inevitable. Standing on Business with Dr. Melissa, where authenticity meets profitability.
Okay, so welcome back to What's the Tea with Gen X, Y, and Z. Before the break, we've been talking about professional attire and clothing and professional standards based on a generational perspective. And this episode was based on a question from one of our viewers. And so we've been super excited to take that on, which shows you if you want us to talk about something, send us an email. More than likely, we will cover it. But Zion going into the break, you talked about professional dress in an environment and how it can affect the emotions and the environment of that particular business in general. And I wanted to delve into that a little bit because for our business, behavioral health,
Yeah.
We see clients. We see clients who are coming in for therapeutic services.
Mm-hmm.
There is a balance that we have to strike, right? So what do I mean by that? I mean, if you're dressed so buttoned up, you come in with a three-piece suit and you're sitting in a group environment doing therapy. Oftentimes, it creates this schism between you and the clients.
Yeah.
You seem so formal, you seem so put together that it can almost feel intimidating to them where they can't connect. Right. So one of the things that we have to do in this particular business is you have to thread that needle of being approachable, of being a person that is genuine and down to earth,
right?
But setting a standard
mm-hmm.
of decorum, and also we're not trying to dress outside,
right?
And so that when I was not saying dress like the clients, because the way the clients dress is oftentimes how we dress outside of work.
Mm-hmm.
But you do want to set that standard when you're trying to give people a picture, an example of what this might look like, what success might look like, what being able to conform and get a good job and all that. There are, whether we like it or not, there are some norms. Mm-hmm. We may not like them. Right. It's sort of like we talked in the episode before. If you want everything that you want, you had to get your own country, right? It's the same thing. You know, I've spent the last 30 years talking to people and I'm trying to keep it real. And I'm like, well, yeah, real broke or real unemployed. Yeah, I understand being genuine and authentic, but also respecting social norms. Because if you've got to go to court, I'm sorry, that's not the time to express yourself.
It's not.
It's really not. So I just wanted to throw that out there too, that believe it or not, we're not just talking about some frivolous kind of topic. The way that we dress, the way that we present ourselves has huge ramifications on things.
Yeah. And just to kind of piggyback off of what you were saying about it's a time and a place basically for how you wear certain attire. And what millennials have been doing is a lot of individuals on social media that are doing the sneakers and corporate attires and outfits and stuff. And that's not to say, because some other norms that are going around is just because you see somebody with some red bottoms on or, pricey clothing and shoes where, because this is corporate, you got to wear heels and you got to wear those pricey items so you can be of a standard that you think that's what that is. And honestly, it's not. There are some sneakers that you could dress up with, a pair of slacks and a nice button down. So not feeling like you have to conform to what other individuals are, wearing.
She knows I'm dying, right?
Yes, she is, because Dr. M loves her heels and I love her heels for her. However, I am a person that cannot always wear heels every single day. And don't get me wrong, she be doing it. She do.
But she's 5'2". That's the other thing too.
And she is 5'2". I'm like 6'2" with heels. So therefore, I can't do it. But I'm not saying that there's it's nothing wrong with it. But sometimes, like Zion was saying, comfort goes a long way. It's some women out here that don't like or don't probably own a pair of heels. And they would just prefer to wear some kind of loafers or sneakers or something of that sort. But just throwing that out there, but you be looking nice out there.
I know, and so I'm gonna say the reason why I was doing that because, and it's not just the heels thing for me, and they know this. I will say I'm probably rigid when it comes down to professional standards. Yeah. So, like even for instance, in my office, Casual Friday was not a thing until a few years ago.
Amen.
I was like, well, are we getting paid on Friday? If it's so casual that you're not being paid, then wear jeans. But if you are on the payroll on Friday, then I need you to dress like you did on Thursday. Because the pay,
like position.
Dress like your position. So, but I will tell you guys, I had to back off of that a little bit because I really was like, individuals were like, hey, Fridays we could sort of be more relaxed. And I was like, no, we can't. Like, what's not relaxed about looking professional? I need you to be professional every day you come in. But then I realized as an Xer, that was really my standard. I have my own standard of professionalism.
Yeah.
That does not mean that it's the be all end all. And so I had to learn that maybe
it's okay to bend the rules a
wearing
little bit.
sneakers and it might be all right.
See, look, that's one less day that we have to try to figure out a business outfit, okay? And I know we all can agree with just one less day that we got to try to put
lay your
something
outfits
together
out for the week, and that way you don't have to.
That's a lot of work too,
Okay.
y'all.
Nah.
I'm sorry, Zach.
No, you're good. You're good. Nah, I definitely agree. I think everybody's apparel or just presentation paints a picture and kind of establishes a narrative as well. So you made a good point when you talked about just you want to go to court. Not even the court analogy. The analogy just in regards to what we do and just clients and then the facilitator. A facilitator should be distinguished from a client, not from a sense of superiority, but as a sense just for roles, and not to develop a too intimate, strong relationship that can exceed work boundaries. So boundaries have to be established. So when you think of the idea that a narrative is established from your presentation, that should make you a little more reluctant to be too casual. Because as I mentioned earlier, there has to be a sense of professionalism as well, in any job, you know. And I'm not much of a conformist, I would say, you know, especially when you think that some companies, you know, make you wear certain clothes. So when you think of a corporate job where you have a little bit more freedom, I do think it's important to express individuality as well and self-expression, but that doesn't I guess exceed that of just what is permitted in a work environment, in a professional environment. Right. So, you know, sneakers and all that, you know, that's cool. I think that's probably the most you could get away with, you know. So.
Oh yeah, definitely. And, you know, not even just with, you know, sneakers and attire, you know, other ways people express themselves is by their hairstyles, you know, their nails. And, you know, it's certain jobs where sometimes they can't, you know, express themselves in that way. And like for me, and I'm always grateful for Dr. M for not being so strict on, you know, nail colors or, you know, certain hairstyles. Now, don't get me wrong. Sometimes we can't go too far, because I'm not saying I'm going to walk outside with orange color hair or pink color hair. No shade to anyone that does, but that's not what I'm saying is, if that's how you express yourself, then fine. But being able to do that is an amazing thing without having restraints to that.
Exactly. Like I said too, when you think of majority of your day is at a workplace environment, it's important because if it's too professional where you don't even feel like you can express yourself,
and you just like this.
I feel like that doesn't really boost morale, and then it becomes a sense of fatigue as well, where it's like it almost make going to work draining. Like it should be a little bit of freedom, you know, in a workplace environment.
Making people want to rebel.
Let me say this.
Exactly.
What I love about, and I'm being so serious right now, what I love about the opportunity to sit between two really extraordinarily bright individuals from a different generation is that I really do learn something every time. Let me tell you what just happened, because what you did, you started talking about hairstyles and stuff like that. And it took me back to a time when I was in my 20s and I had gone for an interview somewhere and my hair was braided. And I'm pretty sure I didn't get that job because my hair was braided. Because I didn't fit the look, the norm that somebody else had set. So braided hair for this individual was unprofessional. So then we get into the assimilation that we have to do sometimes, even based on ethnicity or gender. And so even while you were talking, there was a little bit of a check that I felt with that, because it reminded me that even while I sit here as an Xer and say, this is the standard, this is my standard of what professionalism looked like. It took me back to a time when I was on the other side of somebody else's expectation or standard
Exactly.
that I didn't fit.
Exactly.
And it wasn't that I wasn't smart enough, and it wasn't that I didn't have the right experience or education. I just didn't have the right look.
Right.
And I was unwilling to assimilate a part of who I am. Because there are some people that will look, and I have been in situations where even for me, I'm a woman who wears my hair naturally. My choice. Do I feel like I should have to do something to my hair to make it do something different than it's designed to do in order to fit in? I shouldn't have to. Right. So even with that, it was that was so good, because when we do talk about these norms and these standards, we have to be sensitive to the fact that sometimes the people that are in power, me in this case now, when people come in for an interview, I'm in a position of power to hire them or not hire them.
Right.
That we're filtered through that person's standard. And so for all of us, it would behoove us to be sensitive to not make the standard so specific to us. So for instance, because I'm 5'2" and I need to wear heels, I need to wear them, y'all, so that I don't disappear off the plane. You can see me. That doesn't mean everybody has to do that. Right. Now, here's what I'm going to say and allow you guys to jump in as we wrap up. We talk a lot about individuality. We talk about being authentic. We talk about being comfortable and all of that. But here's the thing I'm going to throw out. The caveat to that is, oftentimes, we are judged by appearance. Of course, definitely. Right? Before a person knows how smart you are, how brilliant you are, how hard you work, how punctual you are, they're going to make that assessment based on how you present yourself. Absolutely. So when we say, my comfort takes precedent over everything, it's almost like when Amber said, her mom said, you better dress like you want to get that job.
Right. Absolutely.
Right? So how do we balance individuality, the ability to be authentic and to express ourselves, with the norms in the environment?
Yeah, I think it has to be like, we have to have a middle ground with it, especially if we already know the kind of career path that we're going and what individuals in that career path maybe look like, or how it is already versus to how you are individually. It's some things that you're going to have to alter if that's the career path that you want to go on. And if that's not the career path that you want to go on, and you're not willing to alter some things to be able to, go down that path, then maybe that's just not the path for you. Right. You're going to have to conform to a certain degree. Not saying that means you're changing who you are inside or who you are, because on paper, by all means, everybody looks great on paper.
Of course.
But, you as a person also have to match that too. You can't just come in a corporate job and think you can just come in here or anywhere how you just rolled out of bed. That's just not how it works. Please. So you're going to have to definitely alter some things to a certain degree, which is not bad. Change is good.
Amen.
Mm-hmm. Well, unfortunately, I don't have any additional input, but I'm just going to go ahead and agree with y'all and remark at the points I do agree with. Like you said, as I mentioned before, there's a narrative based on your presentation 9 out of 10 times, and that's just the way it is. So there does have to be a balance between comfort and professionalism. And then, as you mentioned as well, you have to really sit down and identify what are you willing to sacrifice in order to get this job. Definitely. Because a great point you made, and I was hoping to make that point first, was standards are variable depending on who's ever making that decision to hire you. Yeah. So I think the best thing to do is try to understand the employer and identify what you're willing to sacrifice and what you're not in order to get the job, because they decide,
Right. Love it. You guys, what a wonderful, wonderful conversation. Thank you, Maggie. This was a good one.
Definitely.
We'll end it up with this. And it's what Zion just said just now. Just know your non-negotiables. Right? There are some social norms, professional norms, you guys. I know you want to be yourself and everything, but you can't come to the interview in a 2-piece bikini. You cannot. I don't care. No. Please don't do that.
Not in this age.
Please don't do it.
Don't. Who knows what the future may hold? Who knows what the future may hold? But not in this age.
Just don't do it. So understand the baseline norms, but also understand that you have every right to be authentically you, and to set your non-negotiables. There are some things, if I want to get this job, if you need me to wear a skirt instead of pants, and I want this job, I'll wear a skirt. If you want me to change my hair, if you want me to lose 15 pounds so that I can fit this environment, that might hit the non-negotiables, because now we're going beyond the professional standard. Okay, we're getting to the point of assimilating, and basically you telling me that who I am is not good enough, and that's a whole nother show. Right. But so want to just thank you guys so much. Listen, you guys, let's keep this conversation brewing. Remember, we got to ask questions, we got to listen to understand, and acknowledge the unique challenges that each generation faces. And then, as always, we got to look for common ground, because trust me, it's there. So until next time, let's keep sipping and let's keep talking. Tune in next week for another thought-provoking and entertaining conversation that bridges the generational gap, one cup at a time.